Welcome to the EHS Radio Show on Siemens FM. I'm your host, David Walker. Thank you very much for joining us today. Today, let's go to the UK. Today, we will vocalize the interaction of sustainability and environmental health and safety. We are so lucky and we're so honored to have as our guest today a person I love talking to. This show could go on for hours. But please welcome to the show a true EHS professional. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Louise Harry. Louise, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, David. And I am smiling greatly from the UK because you and I both know we really could talk for hours, and we enjoy that when we are able to do so. But I really appreciate the invite. Thank you.
I have been looking forward to this, and this I'm glad we finally had a chance to put it on our calendars and do this. So let's jump right into this. Okay, I know you from the EHS world globally, and I am all open-minded and curious to hear your view on how EHS sustainability intertwine. First, tell us about you, where the EHS passion started, and how it guided you on your career path to get to where you currently reside within Siemens.
So I guess it started when I was studying and considering, what I may like to study for further education at university level. And while I was a really idealistic teenager, David, I had this wonderful notion of being a marine biologist because I was always fascinated by nature around me. And, I grew up in South Wales, rurally, in the countryside.
That may be one of the reasons you and I connect so well. I have a bachelor's degree in conservation with a minor in biology.
Yeah, there you go. So that was what started for me. But actually, about a month before I went to university, so I had a place to study marine biology, I actually met a female marine biologist. And this is over 30 years ago, and she gave me a pretty sharp lesson in the challenges of being a female marine biologist on a research ship, maybe full of 60 gentlemen and one lady. And I suddenly had a little bit of an about face, and I thought, oh, I'm not sure that's going to work for me in the current climate. So I immediately then started looking at different types of university courses that would satisfy this caring, I suppose, notion of an interest in the environment around me, but also perhaps something that was a little more, focused on people and a career. And I came across a degree that was entitled Environmental Health and Safety Management. And then looking through the modules and, there was a really great balance between health, safety and environmental management. So I went off to university to study this and learn all about, environmental economics, pollution control, occupational hygiene, safety regulations. It was this wonderful, vast course. Straight from doing that degree, I joined Motorola as a graduate EHS advisor. And actually, from that point, I had always worked within one of those three areas. And at times in my career, I've been more of a generalist, looking after EH and S. And at other times, I've focused more on environmental protection or safety. And then, over the last 30 years, things have changed in the workplace. We've had different focuses at different times. But I guess a big change was probably around 20 years ago when we really, really started focusing on two elements, actually, of our EH&S. One was the environmental protection and, the need to start driving towards net zero, although we didn't call it net zero then. And then the other piece was the adaptation, I think, of health in the workplace to more of a well-being centered control. So those are the elements that started to drive a little more in my career. And then prior to joining Siemens, my last role was in a mobile telecoms business in the UK, where I actually been for a while. It was part of the Deutsche Telekom group, T-Mobile, as you may know it in America. And there, my remit sort of expanded, from EHS to also cover sustainability. But then when I came to join Siemens initially, my remit was very much EH&S, but again, with a huge overlap, particularly into the sustainability function on all of our sort of environmental protection topics. And those social aspects, of work and what Siemens can do outside of work as well. So that's how things have intertwined for me and how I've sort of developed my career to the place we are now.
Yeah, you're very well respected within our global EHS community, and that's a really nice summary. And your experience and your background, how it led to where you're at today. But in that background and in that career path and in that journey, Louise, was there any unique special moment or vision altering moment, anything that you would call your aha moment that really drove and continues to drive your passion and inspire you today to do what you do to protect people and the environment?
I think there's two things that I would sort of call out, as moments that mattered for me. One was being told after I'd been giving a presentation to the board of the business I was working for at the time. It wasn't Siemens. And I'd been challenged quite hard by one of the board members who had read an article in the Sunday Times newspaper that, was kind of debunking why we needed renewable energy. And actually, one of the other board members, had a good chat with me afterwards, because it hadn't been the best moment in my career, David, honestly. And he'd reminded me that I was the expert in the room. And just because somebody else had read a newspaper article, it certainly didn't make them the expert. And that was a little bit of a moment where I thought, that's so, it's really vital to listen to the opinions of those around you, but it's really important to remain centered in your expertise as well. And I'd say the other moment that mattered, and it really did relate quite directly to that, was really beginning. It was a moment when I understood that when you know the context of your business and the challenges and opportunities that your business is facing, that actually our role as EHS professionals is to enable that. Yeah, it's enabling our businesses to face those challenges and work those opportunities. Yes. And really, really say to the business, how can we help you do that better? Yeah, it's not to be there to be a no person. It's absolutely about how can we help the business? How can we help all of you do that better? And that could be, how do we keep people safer? How do we, we've talked about this, you and I, before. How do we send people home maybe a little better than they came to work? Keeping them safe not enough, right? Why can't we send them home better than they came to work in the morning?
Mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. I agree with that.
Right? Let's send them home better. And it's the same on the sustainability aspects, yeah? How can we enable Siemens to do everything that we do so well for our customers? How can we do it better? How can we, lead people and guide others on that same journey as ourselves as well? So, yeah, those would be the two moments that mattered for me. Knowing that our job is to enable, and knowing that actually we are experts, and in being expert, we can deliver that enabling factor to the business.
Yeah, those are excellent aha moments. And the thing I appreciate from you is that you didn't dwell on a catastrophic incident or blood curdling accident, because there are many of those moments like you expressed where you open your eyes and realize what's going on and make a decision how I want to pursue my life within this organization. So excellent. Those are excellent examples. Thank you, Louise. So let's keep moving here with sustainability. What's your vision, and what would you tell the audience about your role, how it has evolved and is associated with sustainability? What do you tell people that? What's your elevator speech on that?
I would say that, my role in leading the function, and, I'm so fortunate in the UK because I've got amazing teams that work on EHS and sustainability, and they intertwine, and, it's a hugely supportive community. So, for me, my role is I believe it's about understanding sustainability issues, as they affect people, our planet, our societies, and then related to that, what are the positive and perhaps sometimes negative impacts of businesses like Siemens? What's really, really important about this is that actually, again, it's back to how I demonstrate a collaborative, adaptable, agile when it needs to be approach that's really responsive to all of the stakeholders in sustainability. So that could be, our suppliers, our customers, as our internal stakeholders as well. It's, the people that matter in this as well. And understanding, well, what are their values and motivations and needs? And then again, while in being collaborative, perhaps we begin to understand what are the systemic challenges that create that risk and opportunity across the business. And you know what, David, that's just the same for sustainability, and it's just the same for EHS. It's about horizon scanning and really building those good systemic pictures of the business and what we're doing, and making sure that we can be responsive to all of our stakeholders. So for me, I would say that's my role in driving both of those functions.
And it's more than just a buzzword, and that's what I like when I talk to you about it. Sustainability is, in many companies, in a lot of conversations, a buzzword. Don't know what to say to an EHS person, mention sustainability. But I think you put a perspective on it and how it impacts people and the world and our jobs. And I appreciate that definition. That was excellent.
Very
well
I think
done.
And I would really encourage people, actually, David, to go back, what's the imperative behind sustainability, right? And it is about protecting our planet so that people will live well in the future. And goodness me, if that's not purposeful, I don't know what is. And it's also then about, well, how we can drive those societies around us and, bring social value and equity to those societies around us through the work that we do here at Siemens. And honestly, it genuinely feels like a real privilege to work in the areas that we work in and have the opportunity to shape and influence that. I genuinely think it's a privilege. I really do.
I agree with you. That's a really well thought out and spontaneous at the same time explanation. Thank you for that. Let's switch gears. Let's turn the corner. In your career, have there been any career choices that you just flat regret? That you look back and think, why in the heck did I do that or say that? Or why did I work that way? And if there are any of those instances, would you be in a position to share that with our audience and help our audience understand? Because part of our program is career journeys and career paths. What advice would you give them of what not to do as they seek to grow professionally in this world that we live in?
Career choices that I regret. I don't regret taking any of the roles that I have taken. I think I had one role I probably stayed too long in, and I became too comfortable in that role. And the problem with comfort is it doesn't breed complacency, but sometimes I think you lose your desire to grow because it's comfortable. And in my defense, David, I would say I was busy getting married and having 2 babies and doing things, and there was a lot of other stuff going on. But I think now, when I reflect back, I think I probably should have pushed and had more curiosity to grow sooner than I did in that particular role. I think for me, I think it's so important to always demonstrate curiosity and allow yourself to be stretched. And alongside that, allow yourself to show vulnerability to others when times are complex or uncertain. And I'm very happy to say that even fairly recently, when I was working with the wonderful global team, I started a project. And I didn't go into it with a fixed mindset, but I think I went into a project assuming I knew what the outcome was going to be. So this is something in the last sort of 3 years. And actually, but by being curious and really listening and working and actually forming great partnerships and networks with the community I needed to, I began to understand what they really needed. And actually, I began to like root for them to succeed in what they really needed. And it totally changed, my anticipated outcome of where that project was going to go. So I think, yeah, I would say, it's really important to consistently foster and nourish our working relationships right across the businesses and also externally, because that creates that great mutual benefit and purpose that will drive our work on to a higher level. So I think that would be my advice is, make sure you are stretching yourself, that, there's curiosity within our working lives at all times as well.
Curiosity within our working lives. And most people that listen to the podcast, a lot of this is spontaneous. We have a little agenda about what we want to talk about, but I'm always in awe when I hear these terms and these phrases. And that's one I'm going to carry with me, Louise. Yeah. Curiosity within your job or within your workplace, because it is so true. Yeah. My career journey, my 25 plus years at this point with Siemens, I've always been curious, and I've changed roles with regard to businesses and projects that I've supported, not because I needed to leave, but I was curious to what I could do to take that next step. And the way you phrase this, and I'm going to use it, and I hope our audience uses it too. You've got to stay curious within your job or within your workplace or within your own personal journey. Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent choice of words. Yeah.
And, I think the other thing, David, and this is something that whenever, I work with you, there's something, we never rush. Yeah. We're always generous with our time, because actually to be curious, we need to be generous with our time to other people, don't we? It needs time. You can't just do this in 5 minutes. Sometimes you can, but sometimes, truly being curious needs to it has to mean that we give time to others on maybe a topic that doesn't feel like it's a core topic for us or a priority.
You're either genuine or you're not. And people understand whether you're genuine. And then the first time I ever met you, there was no question you were genuine. And that's why I think I was so attracted to having the conversations and the working relationships that we have. You're awesome. You're fun. You're a lot of fun, and you're so energizing for me to talk to. And I know our audience feels the same way after listening to this. So, Louise, thank you so much for coming on. And we are going to sit down again in the not too distant future and discover what else is going on and be curious about what's happening within our profession. Thank you for being a guest on the EHS Radio for today.
Thank you, David, for, as always, a great conversation. And hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.
Oh, you will. I guarantee you will. Folks, you have been listening to you're so welcome. You have been listening to the EHS Radio Show on Siemens FM. Please take the time to invite your friends to subscribe to the show as you already have, and do not hesitate to provide feedback if you have any questions or comments to me at david.w.walker@siemens.com. Be kind to everyone, and for heaven's sakes, be safe.